So that's why the non-proliferation treaty has worked for the most part, not because we ran around and enforced it. Most everybody said, we don't want this stuff. And even where you have nuclear weapons in India and Pakistan, the weapons have actually produced a degree of stability between those two countries, and probably they've avoided wars as a result. And right now, we just saw a flare up between Pakistan and India. It became very clear no one was going to go to the nuclear level. So, what are we doing then in the Middle East? Well, we are harnessing our military power, our great economic strength in the United States to this Jewish state that wants hegemony in the region. And we've convinced ourselves that if we back their hegemony over everyone in the Middle East, and I would argue to some extent Southwest Asia, that if we do this, this will be good for us. And Persia is another place that disposes over enormous resources, oil and natural gas. Those are not the only ones, but those are those are the biggest. And I think it's misleading and it's not going to work. They're not going to be able to do to Persia what they wanted to do to Russia. And the Russians and the Chinese and the Indians and the Pakistanis, everybody else, they know this is the real agenda. It's not just to eliminate nuclear weapons that don't exist. This agenda is to move in, take over, rip apart Iran, divide it up, make it into some sort of pliable vassal state of Greater Israel, frankly.
But you know this. Sorry,
backing
Conor,
Greater Israel.
You know this kind of blob that kind of emerged out of the early 90s. Was it even then? Where the US seems to be. I asked you that question at the top. Seemed to be almost the United States of America seems to be almost the foreign policy arm of the state of Israel. It's head scratching stuff for the rest of us looking in from the outside.
Well, why? It shouldn't be head scratching at all. You have to look at the people that control everything. And you have to look at the financial power that the oligarchs wield inside the United States and, frankly, in Western Europe. Always answer the first question: who's got the money? Because we have a government that everybody universally recognizes now is the best government that money can buy. In other words, if you sat down with President Trump and his advisors, and you ask the question, how many senators, President Trump, do you actually control in the Senate? In other words, if you put forth some proposal and said, I want you to vote for this, how many can you deliver? How many do you know with absolute certainty will vote for what you want? And then ask the question, how many of the senators in the Senate right now does Mr. Netanyahu command and control? Well, Mr. Netanyahu has a lot more power and influence in the Senate and in the House of Representatives than Mr. Trump does. And we're seeing a lot of evidence that a great deal of that influence reaches into the military, because the commander of Central Command, this man named Kurilla, is apparently enthusiastic beyond description to go to war with Iran and spends most of his time with Netanyahu in Israel. This is a very strange development, but you cannot separate what's happened from financial power.
Oh, yeah, I totally accept that. And can I just then ask you,